Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast. NFL 2025 draft recap and NBA playoffs. We're gonna dive into some discussions about that as well, man. Two teams have already moved on. We're sitting here. Today's April 29th. Got Bucks Pacers going on right now. 156 left in the game. You're just talking about you need the Bucks to cash. So clearly you think that series is gonna go another game, or at least hoping it is. Both first seeds advance pretty easily and clean sweeps, man, between the Thunder and the Cavs. So, gonna dive into these series, man, along with that NFL 2025 draft. Let's start it off nice and simple. Your boys in Philly, man. Your guy Howie. How you feeling post draft?
Um, you know, I don't really think it matters how I feel about the draft. It's a Howie Roseman draft. I'm not gonna go against it either way. You feel me? Like he could have took the worst players at every position. If it's Howie and Howie we trust, so I believe in what he's doing. But I like what he did. Jahad Campbell, consistent top 15 player on a lot of people's boards. Slid because of the injury, but when you're a team like the Philadelphia Eagles and you have so much talent, you can kind of afford to, take flyers on guys that have injury, let them sit. I mean, there's rumors saying that he might start the season out on the pup list. I think he had the infamous torn labrum, so he had surgery on that. So he might miss a couple of weeks to start the season. But regardless, a really, really good talent in that Eagles system. Vic Fangio likes to have those safeties back, likes to play just four down linemen. So nice rangy linebacker that'll be able to run. Next to Zach Bond. They drafted another athletic defensive tackle in the third round. I like what they did there. And then they brought in a safety in the second round. Makuba, I think, Andrew Makuba, I think. I might be mispronouncing his name, but safety from Texas. So pretty much, just replacing everything they lost in free agency or with injuries. N'Kobe Dean went down. So I mean, once again, Howie masterclass, and I also like a couple flyers they took late in the rounds with some offensive tackles. You bring in Stoutland University; those guys will have a chance to develop. Maybe one or two of them will hit. So I mean, pretty, you know. And before the draft, everyone's like, "Yeah, Howie's going to trade back. Howie's going to trade back." But in those early rounds, Howie's known to move up. He moved up for Devontae Smith. He moved up in the second round last year to get Cooper DeJean. So I think early on, Howie likes to move around. But then we saw in the third round, he traded back. In those later rounds, that's when you see him trade back and acquire more picks. So, I mean, I thought it was a really good draft. Not a lot of top end talent in this year's draft, but I think a lot of good depth pieces, some players that can make impacts earlier on. Maybe no superstars, but definitely some guys that can contribute. But I'm happy with the draft, and no tight end, so it looks like Dallas Goedert is going to be here to stay for a little bit.
Yeah, I think the Eagles did solid, man. They traded up. And what was it, one pick with the Chiefs in that first
Mm-hmm.
round, likely to avoid another team trading up, grabbing a
Yeah, and
player.
I believe all they traded was a fifth round pick, and we have five fifth round picks this year, so it's not like
Yeah,
he's missing out on much. And wow, yeah, never mind. But yeah,
yeah. It
traded a
was
fifth round pick,
clear
so yeah,
the Chiefs weren't going for Campbell and get something in return. Another team might have been offering a sixth round pick or whatever. Um, and clearly just wanted to go get their guy before he came off the board. Um, I guess I'll talk about, my Browns and that
yeah. How you feeling, man?
number two pick. Um, I'm feeling better about one team than the other, I will say. The Browns, I took Mason Graham with the fifth overall pick in our mock draft. The Browns weren't in the number five pick during the mock draft, but had Mason Graham going off the board. He went number five. The Jags trade up to get Travis Hunter, obviously generational talent. This and that. Did the Browns make a mistake? The Deshaun Watson trade, they're playing damage control, sure, but at some point you're gonna have to realize the fact that, one player in Travis Hunter may not be able to do the return you got, sure, damage control, 2020 vision, Andrew Barry, can't say the same about my GM as you can, and Barry we trust, and the DePesta deposed the Moneyball guy, who's also in our front office. So can't say that, but Mason Graham, he's an absolute dog out of Michigan. And the other team picked the other Michigan D tackle in the Miami Dolphins. Pick I didn't really like. I thought they reached, I think we had them going 23 in our mock draft, and Dolphins were picking 13th. Thought there was a lot of other needs, especially with Jalen Ramsey's big question mark and the trade rumors swirling around him. A lot of head scratching moves from the Miami Dolphins, but I think the Browns did solid. They clearly want to get their 1-2 punch in the backfield between Judkins and Sampson. Looks like it's end of an era for Nick Chubb in Cleveland, most likely. Nothing but salutes to that guy. Tough break with the injuries, but Cleveland loves him. Love Chubb. Nothing but good things to say about him. You get Schweisinger. My bad if I mispronounced that. One full season a UCLA starter. They say they took him not because of JOK's injury, but nothing positive right now coming out of that. So can't really hate the pick if JOK's not on that field. He was an absolute game changer for the Cleveland Browns and a focal point on this defense. Obviously, you have Myles Garrett, but JOK, that next level, he was that dog. And then at third level, you'd have, Denzel Ward in that secondary. So they were kind of missing a guy middle of the field most of that season last year with JOK out. They take Harold Fannin, bit of a head scratcher, absolute dog at the tight end position. I like him, but being a strength of position that we had, and David Njoku being one of the league's best, kind of questionable. But now you add a 1-2 tight end punch, add another weapon on offense. We'll see how it turns out. I know he's a Bowling Green guy, but we'll see how it translates to the league. Now the real head scratcher of the draft was a guy that on many people's big boards um, maybe have been a sixth round pick, seventh round pick, undrafted. It could have happened, and I don't think anybody would have batted an eye. Undrafted free agent Dylan Gabriel, man, obviously my guy, UCF legend. Played a season for us, stepped in after the Mackenzie Milton injury. Love him, but I don't like him with that third round pick, man. Bit of a head scratcher what was going on there in Cleveland. Um, really, really can't comment on that. And obviously, the storyline of the draft, Shador Sanders going to Cleveland Browns in the fifth round. I was telling you before the show, saw a little report. It was that the Browns didn't have Shador Sanders on their draft board at all until it hit the fifth round. I don't know what he did in these pre-game interviews, what Dion did in the pre-draft interviews, excuse me. But clearly some major sabotage had to go on internally for this guy that was a consensus um, first round pick coming at the end of last season and was going to be the Giants' number 1 pick in the draft. They were going to take him. Now you're sitting here and he's a fifth round draft pick. So I love it. I think he's better than Gabriel and he was ahead on everyone's draft board. I think this fifth rounder might actually help him in his career with the chip on his shoulder. We'll see. I hope it does. And, proves these doubters wrong and becomes, that first round talent that the Cleveland Browns might be hoping for because now they got 4 quarterbacks on the roster. That's 1 quarterback too many. And if I was to take a guess, my odd man out would be Kenny Pickett before the season even starts. But that's just me seeing Kenny Pickett play football in my lifetime as a Pittsburgh Steeler. So
Super Bowl
I,
champ Kenny Pickett. Put some respect on your name.
he took a knee in the Super Bowl. Congrats, Kenny Pickett.
He actually
Um,
won a game for the Eagles too against the Cowboys, but
yeah, that was against
neither
that
here nor there.
abysmal Cowboys team, which the Browns did
Kenny
get blown
Pickett
out
versus
by
Cooper
them.
Rush.
Oh yeah, it was Cooper Rush too. Yeah, what a game. So with that, outside of the Gabriel pick and reaching a few rounds probably on that pick, taking 2 quarterbacks, a bit of a head scratcher, but solid draft by the Browns. It didn't start off that way, especially when they took Fannin. I was starting to question the picks Cleveland was making. Gabriel really shocked me. Day 3, bounced back with that Sampson. That 1-2 punch. I think Henderson was the guy you wanted to go with in that position. They went Judkins. we'll see. Obviously, they were that 1-2 punch at OSU, so we'll see. He's still an elite back. He can pass block, good running game, can catch the ball at the backfield. So we'll see with Judkins, but I'm happy with it. Dolphins, not so much, but that's another. I think that franchise is farther behind than the Browns, and that's saying a lot. I
It
think
starts up top,
obvious.
huh, fam?
What's up?
Because it starts up top.
Yeah, you're referring to the Mike McDaniel uh, making veterans mad on the team,
Well,
and I've said,
I heard those reports, but like I didn't understand because like when the team report cards came out, like bro, he got like an A plus. Like the Dolphins were the highest rated team in terms of like player satisfaction. And then like a couple months later, it comes out and like all the veterans don't like him. Like I don't really understand that.
well,
Somebody capping, fam. I don't know what it is because the report's not adding up with what the results we see from the survey. You get what I mean?
hmm I don't know. So you know how I feel about his play calling at times and trying to get too fancy with it, trying to get too schemy with it. Mm, him as a leader of players, that's not his game, in my opinion. Um, leader of men, sure, he could be a fun, relatable coach that players can trust and lean on, but at some point, you're an NFL head coach, you got to have some grit to you. Um, and these aren't college kids; these are grown men playing, for their livelihoods and Super Bowls and stuff like that. I just don't know if he's got that dog in him, to be honest with you. So, you look at coaches around the league, even your guy, Sirianni, he's got more heart than McDaniel. And
About all he
we,
has.
a year ago today, we were sitting there, is he a leader of a football team? Didn't really know, but he proved it throughout the season. Obviously, Dan Campbell, probably the grittiest coach, but even guys around the league, Sean McVay, the utmost respect for him in the locker room, and you even go back to Bill Belichick. That's a little bit of a different hierarchy and the way his leadership was as the Patriots culture. But you go around the league, these coaches, I think, are a lot better leaders than Mike McDaniel. So just from what I see, obviously I'm not in the locker room. I can't relate to it. It's questionable, but his play calling does need to improve big time. And stop getting so fancy. Just hand the ball off for once. They got to have one play in the book where Tua could just turn around and hand the ball off, but it's just non-existent. It's not a thing. Not even out the gun, man. It's just a pitch.
That's funny. Always a little
Um,
pitch, the motion, sweep,
yep. And
no handoffs there.
I like that quick pitch. It's a nice change of pace, but I think you got to incorporate other run plays. And I don't think they got better at all in the trenches. I know they drafted Grant. O-line needed serious help. No Armstead. The tackles are depleted on offense. The guards are depleted. Centers are depleted. Like there's no one on the offensive line. And Tua, injury prone. You want to improve on that. The DBs they're shot. I mean, no Javon Holland anymore. Jalen Ramsey's going to be gone. Cater Kohu's your nickel guy. He's about to be corner number one in terms of best corner on the team. So a lot of question marks with the Dolphins to be filled. Who was
Yeah.
your who do you think in your thoughts had one of the better drafts here? Some teams that kind of shocked you coming into this and impressed
Well,
you draft day.
I wouldn't say shocked me, but I mean, you kind of hinted on, you mentioned one of the players already, and it's a theme. I've been, higher on this player and this team the past, end of the season going into next year. But I mean, yo, is it like give me the Patriots, bro? I really, really like what they did, especially earlier on. You talk about getting Drake May some help with the number four overall pick. Pretty much, reports coming out. Everyone kind of knew at that point it was going to be Will Campbell. Was he worth a number four overall pick in this draft class? I mean, I would say yes, but it's one of those, maybe lower ceiling, but high floor guys. You put him in the offensive line. You hope you can stick him at tackle. If that doesn't work, you feel really, really confident sliding him inside. You got your starting guard for the next, 10, 12 years, hopefully, if he stays healthy. Really like what he did there. then we talked about Travion Henderson. He got a lot of steam coming into the end of the draft. You really like what he can do in the passing game. You saw how explosive and versatile he is in the run game as well, also catching the ball out of the backfield. So that's a really, really big deal. Help Drake May get those check downs, maybe take some pressure off. Ramondre Stevenson just doesn't like to hold on to the ball. He had a fumbling problem. So hopefully that cleans up there. And then in the third round, you bring in Kyle Williams. You brought in Stephon Diggs and you got some other younger receivers, but I think Kyle Williams, he comes in, brings a really dynamic kind of, speed threat on the outside, bigger receiver. Diggs, he's up there in age. Pop Douglas, he's your slot receiver. I think Williams can step up and be kind of that field stretcher, deep threat. We all know Drake May has that arm. He has the arm talent, so he could be the guy that attacks, stretches the ball downfield for that offense, and just getting Drake May some more help. I think this Patriots team has a real chance. New coaching staff, they got McDaniels back in the only position he seems to be able to win football games, which is the New England Patriots offensive coordinator. Didn't work as a head coach in Denver or for the Raiders. So back where we know he can actually have success. I really like what the Patriots are doing. They got that, bottom team schedule. They're going to be playing a cakewalk schedule next season in the AFC East. They get to play the Jets with Justin Fields. Who knows? And we just heard you talk about how bad the Dolphins are. So I think this Patriots offense can really, really, make some noise. And obviously going into next year in the fantasy football, I'm going to be trying to grab all the pieces I can part of that Patriots offense. I really like what they did there in New England, just giving Drake May as much help as possible on the offensive side of the ball.
Last pick, Javon Baker. Go ahead, sign him up, man. About to be a dog. Drake May. Um, oh yeah, one more thing about the Dolphins. Got our star running back. Enjoying the Miami nightlife. So it's good to
Yeah,
see.
he chained in the club, man.
Always good to see, man. Yeah, you got your, you know, I mean, there's a lot of guys on offense that could play, but yeah, it's not what you like to see, especially videotaped. But hey, it's what they're gonna do. I like the pickup from the Bears on Loveland. I thought that was a good pick at number 10. Get Caleb Williams some help. Another receiver to that room. I think we did. I'd have to go back and look at our mock draft, but I think you took him at the 10, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because you had Warren going to the Jets, correct? So I mean, I had the right. I just didn't have him the first time. I didn't going off, but I like that fit more. Well, not like it more, but I definitely
Yeah.
understand. You know why I love and went there. You look at the two tight end prospects. Tyler Warren, he fits more. I'm not saying he is going to be this player, but he fits more of the Gronk mold where, just big body. He's
Hmm.
not going to really separate, but he's just going to overpower guys, super physical down the field, just big throw it up target. Whereas Loveland fits more of the Travis Kelsey role where he creates more separation, better route runner, he gets open more in space. And when you look at Ben Johnson, when you got a guy like that, that's kind of what you want. You want guys to be able to scheme up. You want to get guys open. And at that point in the draft, when you just at the 10th overall pick, you want to get Caleb Williams some help. Like just the best pure pass catcher. I think Colston Loveland was the best option there in terms of like receivers and tight ends. I think Colston Loveland was the best fit there, and he was a really good fit. That's another guy. In that system, I'm really high on. I think if Caleb Williams could put everything together, Rome Dunze, they got DJ Moore. We'll see if he steps up. It kind of felt like he got to pick and choose when he felt like playing last year. So hopefully he's held accountable. We'll see more from him. More from him, but uh, just the only real, not head scratcher, but the thing you kind of question is, they didn't pick up a running back in the draft until I believe the seventh round. Running back was super, super high on the Bears board. They got
Hmm.
DeAndre Swift. So, I mean, we'll see what they go there. But in terms of throwing the ball and pass catchers, I really like what they brought in for Caleb Williams. And I think it's not, a make it or break a year, but you definitely want to see some major strides with the new offensive coordinator, with the new system and these new weapons around him.
Yeah, and the running back room was deep in this year's draft. There was a lot of talent
Yeah.
throughout the board, and you could honestly grab them in any round.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a Bears fan, I can understand. Maybe you want to see him grab one in like the third or fourth round, but I totally get it. I understand. Like you mentioned, it's deep. You want to let guys. I mean, you wait to the seventh round. Not the end of the world. DeAndre Swift, I think he's a decent, serviceable back. Like if you're not expecting, anything crazy, I think he's suitable.
Yeah, I think you probably would have won day two or, started day three at that
Yeah,
running. That's really where, I mean, they kind of started reaching, I think, in my boy RJ Harvey, absolute dog, but he went in the second round to the Colts. So,
yeah. I think he'll fit
it,
right in that system with Sean Payton, though.
oh, easily.
Kind of
Absolute
similar to like
touchdown machine.
what we saw with Sean Payton do last year with Bo Nix, where no one else really had Bo Nix high on that board, but he fit Sean Payton's system perfectly. I mean, you could say maybe it's a little early for RJ Harvey, but in that role in that offense, catching the ball, super, super, physical, stout running back, I think he'll fit perfect in that system with Sean Payton. He likes to throw the ball to the
A
running
little
back, so he'll
bit
get a bunch of
bigger,
usage.
bigger Darren Sproles.
Yeah, yeah. I
Better on
mean,
the ground
yeah,
too.
there you go.
Um, yeah, definitely fits the system. I think obviously the big news late in the first round, Jackson Dart getting drafted 25th overall to the New York Giants. So they got, obviously two vet quarterbacks here. Jackson Dart likely to sit behind. We'll see how long, if not the whole season, Jackson Dart sits behind the quarterback and how the quarterback room plays together in New York. But do you like the pick at 25? You know how I feel about Jackson Dart. Not a high on him coming out. Obviously, I
Yeah,
know
so
the
I
one
mean,
game tape was horrible, but go ahead.
for me, I didn't like sit there and watch every single game for the all 22, but I obviously watched some of the college football, saw some of the highlights and stuff, and watched them play. And the main thing with Jackson Dart is he has the tools. He's a bigger quarterback, 6'3", 220 or something around there,
He's six
athletic
three,
guy. I think that's what he was listed at, 6'2", 6'3", around there. But they always going to cap on the height. You feel me, Sam?
six
But
foot,
in terms
baby.
of in
Yeah.
terms of size, like besides Tyler Shook, he was like bigger,
That
prototypical
guy's
quarterback. Yeah, but I mean, he has the tools. Has a decent enough arm. He's athletic. You saw him, use his legs. Was able to create in college. But the main thing is, coming from that Lane Kiffin system, it's really just like one read. Guys are wide open. Lane Kiffin is so good in that college system. Guys are being schemed wide open. So the questions of was he really reading an offense? Was he really running, a pro style offense? And he clearly wasn't. It's definitely more of a college air raid schemey kind of offense. But I think I don't hate Jackson Dart, but I think for him to have the best chance going to a guy like Brian Daboll, we saw what he was able to do in Alabama with Jalen Hurts, Tua, and those guys, and then in the NFL, we saw him pretty much make not make Josh Allen's career, but help Josh Allen elevate to where he is today. And Daniel Jones' only relevant season was with Brian Dable when he was fully healthy. So clearly, like he knows what he's doing with quarterback. So I'm with you. I think he's a project. He has to sit the whole year because, like I said, going from that Lane Kiffin, gimmicky scheme offense into a real NFL system, it's going to be a lot. So I think he'll definitely benefit from having to sit that whole year. And you bring in Jameis and Russell Wilson, two options that you'll be able to have in front of them, two veteran guys. Maybe you look at Russ, might not be the best guy you want to learn from, but Jameis Winston, he's a dude's dude, class act. Everyone loves him. So you can learn something from him, maybe. But regardless, he'll be able to sit. I don't think, even if there is injury, he shouldn't have to be able to play. So I think he could take like a full redshirt year, try his best to get that system down, and then you look into maybe next year or hopefully next year, he's the starter. You get him in because, I mean, you don't have the best weapon room in the NFL, but you got some guys. I mean, Malik Neighbors looks to be one of the better receivers in the NFL. He showed that he has, talent to be a top receiver in this league. You draft Cam Scatterbo, Tyron Tracy had a really, really good rookie season last year. You bring back Darius Slayton. They got some guys in the slot. You look at Jalen Hyatt. They got some speed guys, some upside guys there. So, I mean, there's talent around there. You just want to see everyone on that team get better. And I think just the longer Jackson Dart can wait and the longer he can learn and fully develop, the closer we'll see him to be able to hit his like full peak and full potential. But I agree. Like if he had to go in and start right now, I wouldn't be the most confident, but I definitely think down the road he can be like a solid starting quarterback here in the NFL if everything goes right for him.
Yeah, I think I'm 90% sure, but it was John Gruden quarterback camp.
Yeah,
Nass,
yeah, I
Jackson
watched. Yeah,
Dart,
that video
what
is
his
funny.
pre-snap
Hmm.
was, and it's
Clap.
just a clap. Yeah, one clap, sometimes a two clap
Yeah.
to try to draw offsides, but
Hmm.
yeah, you talked about that gimmick offense, not really NFL based, and you kind of saw it just with that clip alone of
Yeah,
not
and that's
having.
just like a little nugget. Like that's literally just like pre-snap snap count. Like
Yeah,
that doesn't go into like he wasn't calling any protections. He's not making any reads, any hot routes, like any changes at the line. Like
nope.
he's not calling any different plays, and that's just all pre-snap. That doesn't go into the actual reads or what goes in like the install, what goes in before
Hmm.
calling all that plays and stuff. So
Hot
yeah, I definitely
routes,
think
yeah,
or
or
even like
route
game
options,
planning, like all the
yeah,
different plays and stuff like that.
hmm
It'll be a lot
schemes.
different. Yeah, like all the schemes and stuff. So it'll definitely be a learning curve, but I think he has like the tools and the talent to be a decent quarterback in this league. But we'll see.
Yeah. All right. Any other draft things you would like to talk about here?
No, I think we covered it all, man. Both of our teams, and then like we mentioned a couple of things we liked in this draft. It was an interesting draft. Like kind of going in, we kind of knew that Cam Ward was going to be the number one pick. It was maybe two, three top end players. You look at Ashton Genty, you look at Travis Hunter. Maybe if you want to throw in Mason Graham there, but eh, a lot of depth, a lot of starter potential in this draft.
You know the
And
DTs don't get the love that those other positions do. So, I mean, he
yeah,
might
yeah,
be a
yeah.
top end talent, but it just never will. Trenches.
I mean, listen, coming from an Eagles fan and seeing them draft Jalen Carter at 9, I know how important D tackles are.
Yeah, Mason Graham doesn't have a speeding charge on his him playing Athens, so we hope it's not just related to that. But yeah, it's gonna wrap up our 2025 little bit of a draft recap. Um, Apparently AB and Big Ben little feud going on in Twitter right now, so gotta love
And
that for Pittsburgh.
I think the Bucks also just blew like a 6 point lead with under a minute left to lose in OT. So there goes my bet.
Did they really? They were just up two when game
Yeah,
over.
Pacers came back and won.
So
I
we
don't know
got
what
th
happened, but I was
three
watching it.
series wrapped up now. So if you want to know the very last play, it's got to be Bucks buzzer beat. Oh no. Halliburton made a drive with
Halliburton.
1.1. Gary Trent Jr. shot the game winner for the Bucks. Season on the line.
Well, I mean, bro, he had like 9 points in the overtime. He hit like three threes. He gave him the lead, but I don't know what happened. Yeah, that's
He,
insane.
he had a he had back-to-back turnovers and then well, he had in the last four possessions he had two turnovers and a missed shot. So
Yeah. But I mean, before that, he was like on fire. Yeah, like 10 points. But yeah, I mean, wow,
wow. Um
insane. Oh, you know what they say, man. What happens in
Dogs
OT?
die in
Can't even be
OT.
mad, bro.
No
Giannis had a
Dame.
chance to win it in regulation. And that's what happens.
Did he miss the regulation?
It was tied. He
15
missed the
footer.
regulation. Yeah.
It's just not in his bag, really. So that's the third team to advance. This one, gentleman's sweep between the Pacers and Bucks. Giannis, a lot of question marks ahead into this offseason. We'll talk about that, Long offseason ahead for basketball. We'll save that for content for later. Um, Pistons, Knicks, 50-49 and a half. Real good series, a lot of gritty games between those two teams, back and forth, comebacks. I think what was it, game four? Yeah, game four came down to last
hmm
possession, missed call on
Well,
Josh Hart.
it's 3-1 though, right?
Yeah,
Or is it two? Yeah, yeah, it's 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah,
So game four came down to that in the corner.
yeah.
Um,
Schroeder was
yeah,
he fouled? Was
Was
he
it
not?
Schroeder fouled?
Yeah,
And it
He was the
wasn't
one
Josh Hart. It
shooting.
was
Schroeder was shooting.
nah,
Yeah, in the
couldn't
corner.
no.
I think it was Hart that jumped on the foul.
It was Hart, but it wasn't Schroeder. It was yeah, it was not Schroeder. Who's it?
The
Who was
game
it?
tying three that
Uh,
they like the questionable
the
foul
last
call.
play? Yeah, no
Bro, I'm
call.
pretty sure it was Dennis Schroeder.
It's Tim
No,
Hardaway.
it was Tim Hardaway.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm tripping. I thought it was Schroeder.
No, Schroeder was cooking at the end of the game though. Um, and Cat was cooking too. Hit a crazy step back three in the game. Yeah, I mean the Pistons, they got their first playoff win. They just couldn't close out some games that were up big on the Knicks in game one. Fell behind, and once again, I don't know how long this Tibbs rotation can last because you see guys clearly losing a step towards the end of the game, and tough to see. I think the Knicks are going to move on probably tonight. We probably see another series end, but I think the Knicks move on here. You
Mm,
look at this first round, outside the Clippers and Nuggets, it's really teams are in control with 3-1 leads around the league. I mean, Warriors, Rockets. Rockets also had a couple chances to beat the Warriors. Couldn't do
yeah,
that. Timberwolves, Lakers. An's been dominating that series. The Lakers just haven't looked really the same they did in regular season.
and Milwaukee's or not Milwaukee, excuse me, Minnesota's bench has been dominating that
Hmm.
series. Like I think I saw a stat today that said Nas Reed scored almost exactly or more than the entire Lakers bench this entire series.
I mean, you look at the
Like
Lakers bench, there's no depth, and they barely play now.
exactly. I mean, starters play the entire second half, but you guys can't contribute. You guys aren't hitting shots. I mean, it's tough. And then when you just have, your two best players are Luka and LeBron, they can only put out so much offensively and defensively that you're not looking at those guys to step up. So, I mean, it's tough. And a team like Minnesota, they've started playing a lot of their good ball down the stretch. Julius Randle seems like he put the New York woes behind him. He's been playing really good ball here in the playoffs, and Nas Reed just like is good for a three threes in every single fourth quarter. So the Wolves are playing some really good team basketball right now, man. They're rolling.
Yeah, I think last game Austin Reeves was the one with the least amount of minutes, and I think he played like 36 of them. Um,
Yeah, and Austin Reeves, I think, is also, if not the main reason the Lakers are not going to win this series. He just hasn't been able to step up at all. He's been outplayed by Nas Reed, Jaden McDaniels. Like Austin Reeves was supposed to be like the third option to step up. Like Luka and LeBron, if somehow either one of them weren't getting going, like Reeves, you got to take advantage. You got to be the one that steps up and like make big shots. Because we saw him be able to create, be able to play make throughout the season. He just hasn't been able to do it at all. And you look at guys on Minnesota, DiVincenzo's had a big game here too. He's hit some big shots. Mike Conley's hit a couple big shots down the stretch, couple clutch threes. Nikhil Alexander Walker, he's streaky. He can get going. And we just mentioned Nasri, Randall, and
McDaniels
Ant Man,
too.
and then yeah, McDaniel's, even Rudy. He hasn't had the best series, switching on Luka and stuff. But it doesn't matter when you got everyone else contributing. So I mean, age old narrative, man. This team basketball is always going to win. You got to have everyone contributing.
Yeah, Tails oldest time. Check dummy when Rudy Gobert gets that switch on him though. Um,
I mean, it doesn't matter, man. Like they're gonna come back right back down on the other end and score to match up. So like, it's cool to get the switch. It's cool to have your moment on the offense, but you're not doing that and getting a stop on defense. It don't really matter, bro.
yeah, that's probably what JJ Redick says in those huddles. To be honest with you, you sound just like him.
I mean, just if you just watch
I
the games,
just
fam, you could tell, bro. Like it's just like you're not gonna win, fam. Like they got too many players, too many guys. They not even like length because the Lakers do have like they're a big starting five, just really no center. Like Jackson Hayes starts and then just gets subbed out the first stoppage and never gets back in the game. So
he played
I
4 minutes
mean,
last game.
yeah, it
Started.
just makes no sense. Well, it makes sense they have no depth, but like
No big man either.
yeah,
Rui. You got
not a
LeBron
well
playing the five.
constructed team.
Dorian Smith, like
Your
that's what they're
boy
throwing out there. UF
Gabe
legend.
Vincent, man, Hall of Fame fleece.
No, bro, he just needs the SPO system. That's what he honestly. I'm not even gonna talk about the Heat, man. Yeah, just not talking about them. Speaking of benches, probably the deepest team in the league, the Boston Celtics, up 3-1 on the Magic. Got a game tomorrow. Um, and they're
No,
probably
they're
gonna
playing
hit.
right. They're playing tonight.
Oh yeah, my bad. Um, Playing right now, they're down five. First quarter, Pistons now up six, by the way. But yeah, the Celtics could close tonight. If not, I think it's clear they move on. No problem. Probably the deepest team in the league. Um, guy number seven can put up 30 in a night. So wouldn't shock me. They come back here um, and win this game against the Magic. Magic always hang around, but it's just not a deep enough team, not enough scoring at all three levels. The Celtics, defending champs, I think they got this easily. Um, if you have any comments, let me know. But Celtics Nug or Clippers Nuggets, excuse me, probably the best series so far. Nuggets winning game four off the Jokic missed uh go ahead buck in the Aaron Gordon put back dunk.
Yeah.
This one's been back and forth. Kawhi turning back the clock a little bit, flashback, his handles looking like it's the best it's ever been in his bag. Has looked pretty elite. James Harden's had some solid games. And this Clippers team against this Nuggets team who's been making deep playoff runs, obviously NBA championships. They got the experience. They got the team that won them that chip basically all around them. So I really think it's a toss up, man. I just want to see the Clippers win personally. James Harden, Kawhi, I like those two guys. Um, Obviously Harden being, chipless, Kawhi having a couple under his belt. Norman Powell has had an outstanding season for the Clippers. He continues to have some games in these playoffs, or at least in game four he did. What's your take on this series?
Yeah, this has by far been the best series. I mean, you look at the Nuggets side. I mean, Jokic is still playing in terms of the best player in the world. Like it's insane what he's able to do on the offensive side of the ball. Like when you need a bucket, he's just able to go and get it for you. And the way he's able to set up teammates and obviously rebound, like he's literally a walking triple double. But I mean, after Jokic, it's kind of what we've been saying all season. It's like who do you look up to step up in these big moments? Usually, it's been Jamal Murray down the stretch, especially in the playoffs. He turns up, but he's been a little cold this series. I mean, he hasn't really stepped up, hasn't really made the big shots. He's had some scoring here and there, but it seems like it's been a lot of empty stats. You know what I mean? Chris Dunn has been a menace on the perimeter, giving him some trouble there. So, I mean, MPJ, he's had a couple big games. Game one, I believe they won. Russ hit one or two big threes. Like you really can't rely on that. He's injured. Game time decision might come back. The Nuggets are kind of similar to the Lakers. They just have Jokic, but I mean, in terms of a bunch of their bench players just don't play, man. Like you got to play their main five. Jokic at this point is basically doing his, best Bill Russell impression. He's basically the player coach. Like they show the sidelines and the huddles and stuff during timeouts, and it's literally Jokic like drawing up plays and telling guys where to be out on the court and stuff like that. They fire him alone. So
I
Jokic
mean,
is pretty
yeah.
much just taking the place where he's literally playing and coaching at the same exact time. So it's just an amazing talent. But you look at the other side of the ball with the Clippers, and I'm with you, man. You mentioned the Celtics being the deepest team in the league. I think the Clippers and along with OKC, those two teams are right there up there with them. I mean, Kawhi Leonard, you mentioned he's back healthy. Game two, I believe it was. Game two or three, he had that crazy mid-range performance where he
Two.
was just, yeah, game two, he just wasn't missing at all. Getting to that midi bag. Defensively, he's still playing really, really good on the perimeter, able to get a bunch of steals, reading passes, creating turnovers and stuff like that. Your boy James Harden hasn't had his playoff fumble yet in the playoffs, hasn't had his bad game. He's been really good, and I think And main part of that is because you laughed at me when I said this earlier this year, but I mean Zubac, man, all superstar center,
I
bro.
was
He's
I was waiting
really,
for you to
really
bring up Zubac,
he's really
man.
stepped up his
He
game, and he's
has.
one of the main reasons this Clippers team is able to go deep because they actually have an inside presence now. You know, Harden, especially at this age in his career, well, his entire career, he was able to run that pick and roll, that high pick and roll, get a big going downhill. He was always so
Mhm.
good with that. Now, later on in his career, not as explosive, can't create as much separation, but he can still pass just as good, if not better. So he's really able to get Zubac going downhill, and Zoo's able to, play make a little bit off of that pass, able to kick out to a guy when the double comes. So Zubac being a big presence in the paint has really, really, really helped this Clippers team. And they got all those guys on the perimeter. You mentioned Norman Powell. He's played really well. Chris Dunn has really helped defensively for this team. So, I mean, Batum, he's one of the best 3-point shooters percentage wise in the league. He's always down to hit one or two. And Bogdanovich, some might
Solid.
say he's a really good bench player for them, come off the bench. Um, so this Clippers team is really, really deep. Ben Simmons, he plays like 9 minutes a game. Gets a rebound and passes the ball as soon as he hits half court. So it's what we imagine out of Ben Simmons. I think it was game 2 or 3. He hit a layup, bro. Like coming down he caught the pass, cutting downhill, and Ben Simmons made a layup. And I had a flashback. I was like, "Yo, is this real life? Like Ben Simmons rolling to the rack? Like what's going on right now?" So
LeBron,
they got
move
a bunch of
over.
guys. Yeah, they got a bunch of guys they can throw at Jokic, and I do think the Clippers' talent and depth will edge them out in this series very closely. I think this definitely goes 6, 7 games. It's a really fun series. Unfortunately, whoever wins this series, I think, has to face OKC, and it's going to be tough to see when one of those teams get past them because I mean I know we didn't touch on a lot of the higher seeds or the teams that already closed out, but OKC is looking like the best team by far. Like just blowing out Memphis, not even giving them a shot, putting, 50 points up on them, beating them by 40, 50, like 20-point wins, like coming
Ja's
back
healthy,
down from
bro.
30. Like, I mean, any like outlandish way of winning a game, they pretty much did it in that series. So that OKC team's definitely rolling. They look really good. But yeah, this Clippers Nuggets series, it's if you just like enjoy the game of basketball, like there's no way you just don't enjoy watching this series.
Yeah, they play the Thunder, and then Lakers, Timberwolves, Rockets, Warriors. Winners of those will
Yeah.
match up in the second round. And then we didn't talk about the East, but the Cavs will now face the Pacers in the second round. Knicks, Pistons, Celtics, Magic. Winner of those two series will also match up in the East. Yeah, I was waiting for your boy Zubac to get brought up. He has played a big part. And I like what you said about the big man, the pick and roll going downhill. When you saw James Harden at his best, it was floor spacing and a bit pick and roll with the big man. Obviously, Clint Capella in Houston played a large part in a lot of those lobs, a lot of those passes.
Yeah,
And then
Capella,
obviously,
Dwight Howard, like all those guys.
yep, PJ Tucker made the living off the corner three. So I
Yeah.
do think he may have gotten better with his passing, just a little more deeper into his bag versus that set offense. He's able to play make and create more with movement around him. And I think Kawhi really helps with that, taking the offensive load off of him and Norman Powell being able to go get a bucket. You mentioned Bogdanovich not having the best series, but he's a guy off the bench that you could go get a bucket and could be a spark plug when needed in big games and big moments.
Yeah.
So
Some
he
might
could
say
get
he's the
you.
best Serbian in this series.
Who's saying that?
Well, listen, man, when I was sweating my parlay last game and he blocked Jokic at the rim down the stretch, I was saying that. Obviously, it didn't really matter because the Nuggets ended up winning. But yeah, I mean, those words came out of my mouth for a brief moment in time.
Yeah, I think you're just altered by one play versus because Bogdanovich game 1-0. I don't think he's
Yeah,
had
he
that good
hasn't
of a
been good at
series.
all this series. No, not at all. He hasn't been
Oh
good.
for
They've literally been
5.
hunting him. Yeah, they've been hunting him on defense. Hasn't been great this series, but hey, he had a big putback over Jokic down the stretch last
He
game.
hasn't been running that Team Serbia versus USA where he's just going absolutely nuts and
Nah,
taking over the game offensively. Because he really did that in the summertime, man. He was really
yeah, he
hooping.
did. He was hitting big shots, but I mean, we can sit here and just name the players that always, ball out in the Olympics in the EuroLeague style format, but just never seem to, translate it
I
to the
mean,
NBA.
okay,
First name that comes to mind is Patty Mills, Ricky Rubio. Like, I mean, the list
listen,
goes on and on.
those guys are playing number one Sunday, but Bogdanovich has been a solid bucket getter in his time in
He
the
has been.
NBA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if he can give you 20 is, but I'm not sure how old he is now, but he's definitely
Probably, I
uh
think he's like
29.
28, 29, around there,
Yeah,
27, 28. It's actually a
he
good
might. Yeah,
question.
you might be right, but I like this Clippers team, man. I think it's fun watching Kawhi back in the league and hooping. Yeah, Ben
No,
Simmons,
he's
he lit
32. Damn.
32. Yeah,
Yeah.
so I mean, a
Older than
veteran
I thought.
presence. Not much playoff
Mm,
experience though with him. I think what the Hawks, Kings, stuff like that. So,
hmm But I mean,
um,
he's what their eighth option. Doesn't really matter at this
yeah,
point.
exactly. You can still go get a bucket when needed, and I think
hmm
um, the emergence of Chris Dunn uh really is helping
Defensively,
out.
he's been a
Yeah.
big help. Offensively, he's been terrible. Like they just leave him open, but he's definitely been able to contribute defensively and make things really hard for Jamal Murray on the offensive side of the ball. And when you got it, Jokic and Murray, they want to go to that pick and roll. That's their bread and butter. That literally won them a championship against the Heat. We saw how effective it can be. If you could have someone to at least just kind of disrupt that and take something away and put everything on Jokic, like we're seeing Jokic put up these crazy numbers, but is it really equating to wins? That's kind of what the main MVP argument was this entire season. So I mean, first couple games or for two games it worked. Last game, you can even say the Clippers worked. They just got like a crazy Aaron Gordon, right place, right time, crashing the boards, put back dunk to win. If it wasn't for that, we'd be saying, Jokic did all of this, just didn't have enough help. And even Aaron Gordon on the stretch for the Nuggets, he wasn't playing good at all. He looked completely gassed. But I mean, you got to give credit where it's due. He had that little bit of gas left in the tank to go up and get that miss from Jokic and put it back in for the game winner. So little plays like that come down, like they could change the series. So they go back to Denver with home court, and that could be the game changer, a game changing play of this series. Because if not, you see them going back to Denver down 3-1, and it's looking like this series might be pretty much over.
Yeah, you mentioned Jamal Murray being a big part of that championship run. So were guys like Aaron Gordon, like you mentioned, the Michael Porters, the Christian Browns,
Mm-hmm.
played some big minutes in big games and did some big things for that Nuggets team. So they're gonna need them to step up, in this
But
series
then
to
that Nuggets team was also deeper when they played the Heat, like you
yeah.
mentioned. Like they had a KCP, they had a
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Brown, they had these guys
Mm-hmm.
that were come in, can give valuable minutes, so guys could get rest down the stretch. Outside of the Nuggets starting five, like they don't really have that. Like their sixth man was Russell Wilson. Like at this point, or not Russell
Westbrook.
Wilson,
It's all right. We were
Russell
talking
Westbrook.
NFL.
I
We
mean,
were talking Russ
yeah,
earlier.
yeah, I mean honestly, same kind
Same
of
player at this
trajectory
point
at
in
this
their career.
point. Like yeah, or they're at this point in their
I'm
careers,
not
but.
hating on it.
I mean, he comes in, he's like a spark plug, but he's literally like
Hit
it's
or
a
miss.
gamble. It's literally
Yeah.
like gambling, bro. Like you could hit your parlay, you could cash out. Like game one, Westbrook could hit a couple corner threes, or you get fucked over by the hook, bro. Like Russell Westbrook hits the threes, but he comes back, turns the ball over in the clutch moment. Clippers get the ball, they win. Like it's literally flip or flop for him. So I'm not sure. He's a game time decision. I don't know if he'll be back this game, but relying on him to be, playing valuable minutes down the stretch is not where any team competing wants to be. And then you got guys like, come on, DeAndre Jordan. Why is he getting minutes in the
hmm
playoff game in 2025? Payne Watson. I mean, the lights are just going to be too bright for him. Christian Strother, these are all super, super young guys that aren't really ready for the moment yet. So I think Denver kind of in the same place where the Lakers are, where their lack of depth could end up being the reason they lose in round one.
Right there with you, man. Any last NBA takes, comments, playoffs, or
No,
anything in
man,
general?
we're in the heart of the playoffs. We'll definitely be back next week, back to normal, scheduling and stuff. But it's fun, man. This is a fun time of the year. A lot of betting, a lot of money being lost, some being won, but that's how the game goes, right?
I was about to say, man, I almost told you that one day. I'm glad I didn't because it didn't
That it
cash,
hit
but
that day, bro. I cashed
uh,
that day. That's when I
well,
was on my heater, bro. But I mean, uh,
it
we've
got to
been
come
cold the
back
last
down to
couple of
planet
days.
Earth.
Yeah, we've been cold the last couple of days, especially just watching the Bucks blow that lead in overtime. That would have got me back at the green. So now we hoping on the Celtics, man.
You just
We
gotta see
need them to
one go
close the
in,
series
man.
out.
Just gotta see
Facts,
one go in
facts.
the
Just
basket.
got to see them going.
The gold miner me, man. It could be the next hit, bro. Big
You
one.
never know, bro. You never know.
No doubt. Goal to go. Not sure what episode this is, but it'll be titled with the episode. But NBA playoffs, NFL, 2025 post draft, a little bit of our analysis and takes, stuff like that. We'll be back next week with another episode covering NBA playoffs, man. Until then, peace.